Dubious. Let's talk about the state of the freight one more time. Of the Tubiest, the best YouTube subscribers on the planet. That's you. And I'm 50 plus. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about the state of the freight today. Mainly because I've gotten a few comments about it, and some were extreme and some were kind of one-sided, and then, of course, there's always been that super trucker that's, been out here for 50 years and then come on the rookie channel and let us know all of his wisdom is worth about 5 cents. Fact is, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that, everything's kind of slowed up, man. I mean, in a big way. The vast majority of Americans are not even working. Okay, so if you're not working, you're not making money. If you're not making money, you're not consuming. And what consuming does is create an economy. And then what we do as truck drivers is supply that economy with its demand to be consumed. That's what we do. And there's a bunch of trucks running around. So obviously we consume a lot as Americans, okay? The problem is we haven't made, we still make things, but not on the level in which we used to. So, a lot of things that we consume come from overseas, and surprisingly, what you may think that, the borders are closed to merchandise coming in here from overseas, but that's just not true. They still come, it's just controlled. But the fact is, it is still not, it's not enough, and the guys that get hit first will be guys, like myself, flatbed or, heavy stuff, things like that, the things that we carry, like building materials. I just dropped off, building materials for a storage facility. The freight for that kind of thing is still there. Obviously, I just dropped some stuff off, but I've been sitting for a few hours, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay if I even sit through tomorrow. It is what it is, because it's not, it's not, the freight is not a gigantic thing that we can pull from anymore, okay? Before there was more freight than there was trucks, and now there's more trucks than there were freight. That is a fact, okay? Which helps me to answer a response from one of the subscribers who said, my statement was, I've been seeing a lot of Melton trucks and haven't seen an empty one. And I said that in jest, not meaning that, that they're, come on, drive with Melton, because we're not going to stop running. That's not what I meant. But what I was saying was, I'm headed north, and all of the Melton trucks I see coming south have something on them. And, on the other side. So it's basically the back haul. And it looks like they had some stuff going. So I'm, looking good, right? That was my statement. But the response was, if Melton has freight, if you're not seeing any empty Melton trucks, that means they're taking cheap freight. And by happenstance, that person's right, because all freight is cheap right now. All of it. Obviously, this person doesn't go on low boards. Okay? The reason that the freight is low is because there's more trucks than there is freight, okay? And when that happens, it drives the prices down. Excuse me. It drives the prices down, okay? Because the supply is less than the demand, okay? Truck drivers are demanding freight and supplies is low, so drivers are going, I'll do it for less, just give it to me. And then somebody else goes, no, I'll do it for less than them, give it to me. And it's cheap freight. It doesn't matter if you're a company driver or a owner-operator. It doesn't make any difference. The price stays the same, okay? But as I said before in the previous video, you see a lot of owner-operator trucks sitting still because they cannot afford to drive and pull freight at a low rate. They just can't do it, okay? And you'll hear guys that are not really thinking mathematically. They're just running their mouths. They will say, if it wasn't for mega carriers or big freight companies hauling and willing to haul the freight at a low rate, then there wouldn't be low rate for the freight. If your thinking is that long, then yes, you would be right. But you aren't thinking any further than that, because it doesn't matter. Let's just say all trucking was just owner-operators, okay? So right now, in the state of the situation, right now, everybody was owner-operators. And there's 50 trucks in line, and there's one piece of freight to be moved. But 50 guys in line to get that freight. And they start bidding from $1. Somebody will say, okay, I'll do it for $1. And another one will say, I'll do it for 89 cents. Everybody who won't do it for 89 cents will leave, okay? Leaving, say, 15 of those 50. And they start haggling about how much lower that freight's gonna go. And they all agree, let's just say that they all agree to not go lower than 85 cents. If they all agree to that floor, who's gonna get the freight? There's only one piece of freight for every 50 trucks. It's not possible. Somebody's going to do it for a penny less. Somebody's going, because they want the work. If there is no floor, that's what's going to end up happening. But there won't ever be a floor, because that's just not the way this industry works, okay? So people who think that they are going to monopolize, that truck drivers will monopolize the freight and then say what the freight rates are going to be, and that's it. The market dictates that. Doesn't matter if it's a mega carrier doing it or if it's a owner operator doing it. The freight rate can only rise so high because there'd be too many people jumping all over it. That's just not the way it works, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's, an owner-operator or a mega carrier. If you don't believe me, go on any freight board right now and look at the freight rates. Owner-operators go on load boards, okay? So that really is a non-statement, okay? The next thing was, I had a subscriber who said if they sat any longer, but they had sat a little bit, okay? I think a little bit longer than a 34 or something like that. Can't remember exactly, but if they didn't, excuse me, I got up really early and drove the rest of the way to get here. If they didn't get a load pretty quick, that they were going to quit their company. And my question for them is, you don't have to answer it, but just think, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? A lot of freight companies, the truck driving companies, they're not even hiring. And if they are hiring, what makes you think that they're going to have any more freight than the company that you just left? It's not a smart move. Stay where you're at for a while, or it'd be different if you were trying to get into another genre of trucking. If you wanted to, go to tanker or something, I don't know. Or if you wanted to make a switch from dry van to refrigerated. That's a different reason for leaving, not because you sat because freight is low. This is just what it's going to be for a while. Okay, eventually we'll hit the peak, and then we'll come down the other side, and we'll be all right. But it's just going to take a few minutes, a few days, a few weeks, a few months, whatever. But we got to survive it. We got to poke through. Not throw in a towel just because you're not making it right now. You're just not thinking. It's coming out of frustration, what you're saying. It's coming out of frustration. So just hang in there, okay? So I'm going to see if I can answer another question or two. I had some questions about, and this is going to be the last one, so I don't want this video to go long. I had some questions about the hours of service, and it had something to do with the 30-minute break. Oh no, sorry. It was the split sleeper. In the last video, when I talked about hours of service, I specifically stayed away from split sleeper, and the reason why I did that is because learning how DOT clocks work is complicated enough. Now, once you understand it, it's simple. But you got to get there, okay? You got to get to the point where you understand it. And a lot of people struggle with that. You should pick it up fairly quickly. You get into that first week on the mentor's truck or something, you should understand it, okay? It's fairly simple, but, it's just got to have all of those, the planets have to align in here. And then once you understand it, you understand it. But basically, 8-2 split sleeper is a 10-hour rest break that you interrupt. A 10-hour rest break that you interrupt. You interrupt it at 8 hours, and at 8 hours, you will get back. Man, this is rude. Sorry. I need to hurry up and take a nap or something. Excuse me, it's very rude, but you end up getting back any hours that you did not use in the previous drive cycle. So if in the last drive cycle you drove 8 hours instead of 11, you would have 3 hours still remaining on your clock to drive. Okay, so if you go to sleeper and you go to sleeper for 8 hours, at the end of 8 hours, you will get back that 3 hours, and you can drive that 3 hours depending on how much of the 14 you have remaining. So it's a little bit more than people like to make it out to be. It can help you, but it can also hurt you if you forget you have a 14-hour clock going. Oh boy, this is what I get for sitting, right? By the way, I'm at a truck stop, and I'm about 5 minutes away from my customer here in Iowa, and I'm waiting on a load, and I'm sure I'll get something pretty soon, and then I'm gonna let you guys know what's gonna happen really soon. Split sleeper. Okay, so that's it. I'm not going to talk anymore about this stuff. I will make a video about split sleeper, but again, this is a rookie channel, and split sleeper is not something that you're going to do right out of the bat, okay? And it can mess you up if you don't truly understand it, because what ends up happening is you stay in the sleeper for 8 hours. At the 8 hours, you're going to get back what was remaining, like I talked about the last time. And in theory, you're supposed to, after that period of time, park and do 2 more hours, which will complete a 10-hour break. And when you complete that 10-hour break, you would think that it would be the same thing as taking a consecutive 10-hour break. The fact is, it depends on how much you have left on your 14. Because at the end of that, after you do that extra 2 hours, you may not get back a full clock. Is if you'd have just stayed in the sleeper for the entire 10. So it's how confusing that can be. So, you know, we don't talk about split sleeper right now. Okay, you got to kind of understand what a DOT clock, how it really works fully before you can grasp the full concept of a split sleeper, which is probably what I need to do. Split and go to the sleeper. That's what I'm gonna do. Appreciate you. Till I see you again. Keep that mask on. Here's your boop. Yeah, boop.